Hey ballers, it's a treat. Jon Travers is passing through town doing a, what do you call those swerving weekend things for Nautique?
Yeah, exactly, swerving weekend.
So awesome, he's here in Baco, gonna run off and teach people to ski tomorrow, and we just thought we'd take a chance to sit down and talk talk about some stuff he cares about. So let's just start back at the beginning. I wanna tell you my thing about Travers. When I was a kid, the Travers name meant jump skiing. So I was, way back in the day, I was a jumper. Nobody remembers except me. But I mean, the dream was to go to Travers Ski School. And so in my mind, you grew up at like the ultimate playground I never got to go to. Do you, what can you say about growing up at like such an amazing facility?
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. You get to meet people from around the world. But it's at the same time intimidating because you always have people coming in and out of your life that you don't really get to meet like as a friendship or anything. So like I show up at ski school now and there's like 20 new people there than last week.
Right.
So you never really get to meet people, but it's also you're meeting people from around the world. And then when you get to travel the road, you know people automatically. Any country I go to, I have contacts there.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the greatest thing about it all is just getting to meet people from around the world and getting to meet those people and their perspective on the sport and what they look at compared to what we look at on this side of the world. It's a lot different from country to country and place to place than I would ever imagine it would have been.
Right. So is your future, you and your brother and your wife, Natty, is your future that you someday are going to take over that ski school and that's who you are and what you guys are going to do?
Yeah, that's Chris is a huge part of it right now, the same as Natalia and I. Right now, I'm not there as much in the boat and stuff as much as maybe I should be, but I kind of told everyone in the family, hey, you can only pro ski a certain time in your life. So
right.
That's kind of why I'm taking that more serious and not putting myself in the boat as much. But if there's kids that come by, I have a few students there now that said, hey, John, we really want you in the boat. Can we work that out? And I said, absolutely. And so yeah, I do time in the boat, same as Natalia. She does the same thing. But Chris, my dad, and we have staff from all different parts of the world. They're all on their national teams, and they take care of the rest of it for us.
Right. Fantastic. And I'll tell the folks at home, I've been to the site once or twice. Ski's awesome. If you're gonna go to the Orlando area and you want to get some lessons, just get some ski ride, you got to go see Travers. It's legendary. So I don't know if this will mean anything to you, but I mean I grew up skiing with JD Wiswall, and I mean JD has so many stories about your dad's lake, and this will be lost on a lot of the audience, but the Jack Wilson and Jack Walker stories, and it all goes back. I mean the place is legendary.
Yeah, for sure, with all those guys jumping back then, and even Salming, but Salming wasn't the big part in the family until kind of I came around, and I just learned this late. Maybe 2 years ago that Andy trained with my dad quite a bit. And I didn't know that. Andy never really told me. My dad never told me until I found out after Andy's passing that he trained a little bit with Dina and my dad and out there, and Dina would jump, and Andy actually jumped a little bit, but he was out there a lot salming with my dad, and I thought that was really cool because it was pretty humbling to see the world's best ever
right.
in Salm to get to ski with my dad, and then me come along that obviously I'm not built for jumping at all. And to come out and Salm decent, and be able to take it on, and it's cool.
Let's talk about your tournament. So, like, I run this tournament every year where I was like, when I first did it, I was so proud that my format was unique and it was fun, and I thought I was really like outside the box. And then I heard about your tournament, and I was like, mind blown. Like, I thought I was being creative. Tell the folks at home about the Grand Prix.
So I have a tournament called the Travers Grand Prix. This year it's May 3rd and 4th. I got the idea from a tournament in England we did maybe close to 10 years ago, where it was amateurs with pros on teams, and then we went go-karting and shoot skiing. So that's what we do back here in the States now at my site, is I invite the top 20 pro men slalomers for a prelim and a final round. They have $15,000 cash prize, full elite tournament. Then I invite up to 60 amateurs. So that would put 3 amateurs per pro. And then the amateurs get 2 rounds, slalom tournament, no matter what. And their average is based off their their average for the tournament is their average on the world ranking list or their U.S. ranking list. -6 buoys is their tournament average. So what I'm trying to get is everyone's kind of in the plus. We don't see a lot of minuses.
Oh, okay.
And then same thing for the pros. Their average for the team is -6, not for the cash prize. It's straight up. And then we go go-karting, and it's all the pros have to show up, be with their team. They race with their team. If they don't, they're kicked out. So it's pretty challenging to get the pros to interact with the amateurs as much as I want, because the amateurs are what our sport is all about.
They're the guys that are buying skis and paying for ski school and boats.
Yeah. So this is my whole thing is I thought it was really good in England. And then on Saturday, while the amateurs are doing their second round and the pros do their final, we're shoot skiing on site behind my third lake.
Awesome.
And it's all, this year will be webcasted through World Water Skiers, so check it out. Spots are still available. We did a little video. Marcus Brown helped me with a little video last year, hit 72,000 views.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was really stoked about that. So it's going to be a fun event.
So here's what I want to know. Before the event, how much time do you spend at the go-kart track practicing?
You know, honestly, to tell you the truth, I haven't been yet. The last time I was there, this is honestly the truth. Last time I was there was for my event. Because
I'd be at the go-kart track nonstop being forget slalom.
I can tell you who's been there a lot.
Who?
Sasha. The Scons, man. That guy was the fastest by far out of all of us. He does rally drive a lot.
Oh, that's cool.
But he loves driving, so I'm sure he's been there a lot. I talked to my wife today, and she was at our gym we go to, and she was talking to one of the kids there, and he's like, I'm going Sunday. We're going Sunday. A big group from Swiss ski school is going there Sunday to go ride. So it's cool. It's a good place. 50-mile-an-hour carts. So
that's awesome. That's fantastic. So this may seem like we're going to wonder where I'm going with this question, but so I was at the 2011 Masters, which was a big event for you, right? You won the Masters,
yeah.
one of the most amazingly prestigious events possible, and I had this takeaway from the tournament that I was kind of told that didn't actually make sense to you, and the takeaway for me was that nobody had ever won a tournament that big who was born in India. And, a lot of people don't know about that you were adopted. But the response I got, the reason why this story is interesting to me is the response I got, I think from you, was, no, I'm not a little boy who was born in India. I am a Travers. I'm Jack and Leilani's child. That's who I am. And I thought that was really kind of a sweet story.
Yeah, and to go back on that, actually, I wasn't born in India.
Okay, sorry, my mistake.
Yeah, my mom, I just actually did Ancestry this winter. That was a Christmas present. So, going back on stuff, I was born in Leesburg, right outside of Groveland, where our ski school is. I was lucky enough to be adopted by two amazing people that now, and since then, have been my parents, Jack and Leilani. And, I don't remember in my lifetime getting told I was adopted. It was something that you just knew, because they talked about it all the time and didn't make it awkward. We'll be somewhere, and still today, my mom would be like, "Oh, this is my son." And they'd be like, "Oh, you guys don't look look alike." And my mom's like, "Yeah, we adopted him at birth." But to me, adoption is not something to be afraid of. I'm just lucky enough to have the people I have around me, and the people that care about me, and the people that brought me in to be with.
So, John, 2019 is a big year. I didn't really appreciate the difference in World's Year versus non-World's Year until I talked to Freddie Winter a lot about it. So you're qualified for Worlds. In your mind, do you approach a World's Year differently?
Yeah, you do. You always figure out what month Worlds is going to be, and then you want to peak at that time, for sure. So you kind of I've talked to other skiers and stuff, and they're like, I don't care about any other little tournaments. I'm peaking at the Worlds. Honestly, a lot of Americans probably know this, but a lot of people in the world don't know this. To be an athlete for the U.S. doesn't mean anything as in we're going to get paid more or less.
Right.
So for Canadians and for the Italians and for the Belarus, for a lot of France, they get funding from their government.
So we shouldn't let them train in Orlando.
Yeah.
We should kick all the Canadians out.
Yeah.
And what about the ones that were born here? I'm sorry.
No. But
hey, Drew Ross, we love you, man.
So yeah, so a lot of like for myself, that's a fully expensed trip I have to pay out of my own pocket, unless I make the world's team. As an independent, which I've been, I think I've done 4 worlds. 2 I was on the team, 2 I've been independents. Um, it's an expensive trip to go to when you know even if I do win or not win, I'm still losing all this money.
Right. Right.
And in our sport, it's hard to go, especially this year. It's in Malaysia. It's a $2,000 ticket. 99. I've been there twice. 99% of the time, it's not going to be fair.
Right.
So it's just a sight to me that it's hard for me to know at this time. I'm committed to the U.S. saying I'm going to go, but that doesn't mean I have to go. I told them I'm going to try my best to go. I don't know if the time comes if I'm not going to peak at the right moment or I'm not feeling it. That do I have to go? No, I don't have to. Do the companies that I represent tell me should I go or not? Absolutely. Yeah. So that's a big deal for me. Is HO and Nautique are my 2 main companies, and if they say, "Hey, John, you really need to be representing us in the world,"
and it's a Nautique event, right?
Yes, it is. So there's a big possibility I would be there, but for the rest of the people out there, speaking for the whole U.S. athletes out there, it is a very difficult challenge for us to go to the world.
Speaking of that Worlds, do you have any feelings about it being in Malaysia and expecting the conditions are not going to be sheet of glass, perfect conditions?
Yeah, we've always been in the worlds that I've been to have been in really nice places. The first one I went to was in Canada, Calgary. The second one was in Russia, which we got very lucky. Amazing place to ski when it was nice, and we got really lucky for the 5 days we were there. The next one was in Mexico. Obviously, that was amazing. And the last one was in Chile. Or it was vice versa, Chile then Mexico, I believe. Something like that. And all amazing places. Then the last one was France, actually, sorry. The last one, and we got blown out. Terrible conditions. And for me at Worlds, if we're going to have a world champion, it needs to be fair.
Right.
For every single person. Because it's not a World Cup. It's not a record tournament. It's not a cash prize deal. This is the World Championships. And it needs to be kind of like at a site like yours out here where 9 out of 10 days, it's going to be the same. Right. We might have one day that, oh, man, okay, it's 5-mile-an-hour winds. But it's going to be fair. It's going to be even. And you're going to have the true winner win the tournament.
All right, so how far are we away from Masters?
We are
soon.
Yeah,
soon.
6 weeks.
Okay, so if you're not,
7 weeks.
How does it work? If you're not top 8 in the world currently, top 7?
Top 7 in the world on the elite ranking list from last year's tournaments.
And the elite ranking list, I mean, nobody argues that that's unfair.
No, yeah, some people do. I think it's pretty fair. The only thing I don't like about it is that a lot of people travel the world to go to all of them.
Right.
And then, like myself, I did 15 tournaments last year, pro cash prize tournaments. Some of them, yes, were small elite points. Some were no elite points. So I did 15 cash prize tournaments last year. I believe I'm the only one that did all of them.
Right. I guess I'm a critic of the elite points because the amount of money distributed at any one event
puts on how many points
you are. And so, as an example, Regina Jaquest never goes to Mumba because she's got a job, so she misses out on elite points.
Yes.
And that's not a controversial example, but at some years it's really arguable that number 1 on the elite list is not really the number 1 skier in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
and the elite points is, I think we kind of need to come up with a scenario where we take an average of way more than just 3 or 5 tournaments. We take a lot more. So if you want to go to these big tournaments like the Masters and stuff, you got to be committed. I got told one time from Nautique, John, if you want to be at the Masters, go to more events.
Oh.
And I understand. It's elite. You got to get points. The more tournaments you go to, the better chance you have to make more points.
Right.
And more you can move up the list. So that's what I did. And unfortunately, I didn't make it this year. I'm number 8 on the list right now.
But you have a chance. There's this crazy tournament at your lake.
Yep.
Which I don't exactly follow the rules. You'll tell us in a minute. But so everybody has a chance. There's a cutoff score, right? And then.
Yep. So this year the scores, it's the last chance qualifiers. The weekend before Masters, the score is 3 at 41 this year. But that 3 at 41 doesn't mean you have to get that score, but you also have to win the event.
Right.
You have to have the biggest score of the tournament. It's a 2-round tournament. So if someone, for example, one year, it was, I think, 3 at 41. Jason McClintock runs 3 at 41. First round, I run a half at 41, or 1 at 41. The next round, Jason falls at 39. I run 3 at 41. My average is better than him. I go to the Masters.
But so but Asher's already in the Masters,
Yes.
right? But so if you go out and you run 3 at 41, and Asher's is just toying with you because he's Will Asher, and he goes out and runs 4, that doesn't knock you out, does it?
No, it's only people that are outside the Masters.
Right.
Yeah. So anyone that's qualified can also ski in the event for sure, but they are in a normal tournament. They're not in the LCQ part.
Is it almost the most nervous tournament of the year?
For me, it is because especially if I'm not qualified, it is for sure because 9 out of 10 times I won't ski my best at my house.
Right.
Because I think too much. I'm like, oh, I know this part. I know this about my leg, and it's just normally like my first time I ran 41 Swiss. The next 3 times I ran at McCormick's, and then I finally ran it at my house. After like 20 rounds.
Right.
So it's much harder for me to ski at my own site just because of a lot of times I'm working the tournament or I'm TCing or I'm in charge of all the jump stuff or whatever, and it's just my mind's not always just right there. So LCQ is definitely a point right now in my mind is where I need a peak. Yes, I have 2 more tournaments before that. I have my personal pro event 2 weekends before or 3 weekends before, and the next weekend Swiss Pro. So it gets challenging for sure.
All right, man. Good luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bud.
All right. Thank you, folks.
You look taller than me.
It's really not true. You keep slouching.